get back on the right track.
And Matt, how hard is it when you've got a redshirt freshman quarterback that hadn't played based on his redshirt season and getting injured as a senior in high school in about 2 years to now be put in this situation where he has to distribute the ball and get all those players involved?
Yeah, and it's difficult, but it's not undoable. And you know, what people keep forgetting, they keep putting everything on the young quarterback, JT Barrett, but there's a young offensive line in front of him that really needs work, and today will be good work for them.
Kent State won the toss, deferred their option to the second half. So Ohio State begins with the football, and here's Dontre Wilson. And that is one of those speed merchants that the Buckeyes have. If they can get him in space, he can make plays, and he's out to the 42-yard line with a 37-yard kickoff return. So great field position for the redshirt freshman JT Barrett, who was the first quarterback to sign with Urban Meyer when Urban took over as the head coach here at Ohio State. And he got a lot of off-season prep. That was one, I guess, hidden positive of Braxton Miller coming off of the off-season shoulder surgery back heading into summer camp in the spring, that not only did JT Barrett but also Cardell Jones, the backup quarterback behind Barrett, they both got plenty of reps preparing for this season. They run the option on first down. Ezekiel Elliott takes the pitch, coughed up the football, but stepped out of bounds after a gain of 3.5.
Shoes. So we talk about the NFL as being a copycat league. Well, the NCAA is no different. Very first play, this has not been seen at all from Kent State. They went to a bare front. What a bare front is, the whole thing was a week ago. Bud Foster, the defensive coordinator from Virginia Tech, got into a front that they weren't familiar with. And they didn't expect that they would see it here, but you never know. Lo and behold, first play of the game, here comes that look. And what it's characterized by is you're covering off your inside three. Your center and both guards get covered. And once they're covered, it presents to the offense a little bit different blocking combinations.
Najee Murray shaken up on that first play of the game, but there's the bare front on the interior.
Here it is. So you're closing off the inside, and it puts a lot more on your defense to handle the interior line, and your linebackers have to be able to run and flow. Character, of course, is after the old great Bears from the 85, 83, 84, 85, 86, right in there.
So we'll see if Najee Murray can shake off his return to Ohio Stadium, as he began his career at Ohio State, sat out last year after transferring to Kent State, played 6 games as a true freshman a few years ago. Plenty of time, and a swing pass in the flat from JT Barrett to Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott makes a move, and he's inside the 35, out of bounds, close to the 31, with a flag down as well.
All right, now, when you go with the bare front, and they're playing man coverage, it's imperative that if you are in that coverage, you have to tackle.
After the play was over, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 36, 15 yards to the end of the run, automatic first down.
You're going to get yourself into this situation a lot, all day long. One-on-one in space. And if you're doing that, you have to be a good one-on-one tackler in the open field. If not, they'll get out of that coverage very fast.
Well, last week, as you said, Virginia Tech went what they call double eagle bare front, zero coverage behind it, all kinds of pressure on JT Barrett with no deep safeties. Does Kent State have anywhere near the athleticism, as Barrett here gets caught behind the line and dropped for a loss by Nate Terhune? So that's a loss of about 4, but can Kent State back up that type of defensive game plan with the athleticism necessary to pull it off?
Yeah, I don't believe they can, but they're going to give it a whirl. And that's what I like about it. So Paul Haynes, their head coach, and a defensive-minded guy, especially down here inside the 20. The angles change a little bit when you're throwing, but the long field is gone, so the speed becomes a negligible factor.
Homecoming for Coach Haynes as well. He grew up in Columbus and had some great athletic moments in this stadium. 2nd and 14. Good throw outside the numbers. Dontre Wilson on the end of that hookup with JT Barrett. And that sets up 3rd down and about 7 coming up for the Buckeyes as we take a look at our impact players when Ohio State has the ball.
Well, we talked about getting the ball into the hands of your playmakers, and Dontre Wilson and Devin Smith are that guy. John Cunningham, the defensive tackle inside, love this player. He's a guy who, high energy, he's just a freshman, He's going to be an excellent football player.
3rd down and 7 in the red zone for the Buckeyes. 5-man rush. Barrett finds a wide open Wilson, or check that, Michael Thomas, for a walk-in touchdown. The sophomore, who had a touchdown last week against Virginia Tech, backs it up with another score today, and Ohio State on the board early.
So you asked the question, can they do what Virginia Tech did a week ago? The answer, you can do it. I don't know how effective you're going to be at it. Here's why. Watch the protection inside. See the backer, they're going to come with an extra guy. And here he comes, and he's free. But when you have that kind of pressure, you have to be in man coverage behind, and you have to be able to match up, and they weren't able to.
It only took 1 minute and 20 seconds for Ohio State to put 7 up on the board. You snap your fingers, and the Buckeyes go right down the field.
Here's the route, and this is an adjustment that they didn't have a week ago. It's a pick. Shoes, what's the first thing I said when we watched the tape? I'm like, what the heck are you doing? You have to have a pick game in. If you're going to play tight coverages, now offensive people don't call them picks, they call them rubs.
No, bitter old defensive players call it pick plays.
Or that, yeah, we do that.
Yeah.
But that's what they did, and that's smart football. That's what you go to. You're going to bunch up in tight, or you're going to go real tight man coverage. I'm going to just rub you just a little bit to give you an edge, and you come clean. That's good football, good adjustment from a week ago.
Now,
lesson learned.
In spite of the fact that the Ohio State coaching staff had not seen Virginia Tech in that zero coverage bare front, they didn't have that pick rub game, as you said, in the game plan last week anywhere. How much did that surprise you that
Very
even
much
without
so.
expecting the need of it, that they didn't have it prepared?
Yeah, see, I thought last week's loss was as much on the coaching staff as it was on the players. That was inexcusable to not have that in your back pocket, knowing that Bud Foster is going to give you a lot of man coverage.
Ernest Calhoun looking for a lane, and he finds one out to the 25-yard line. Pretty good return for Kent State. And now it's Colin Reardon's turn, the sophomore from Poland, Ohio. Last year, 12 touchdowns against 9 interceptions, off to a pretty good start efficiency-wise this year. 4 scores and 1 interception, but not a productive first 2 weeks offensively. Kent State's coming off 2 losses, both at home, one to Ohio University, and last week 23-13 to South Alabama.
Reardon has some skills, but he will be only as effective as this offensive line allows him. This offensive line did not show very well in the first 2 games.
They roll Reardon out of the pocket, long throw to the sideline, and he misses the tight end, Casey Pierce, as we take a look at our impact players for Kent State offensively.
Well, you're going to see the first one, Casey Pierce, the tight end. And he's a kid who understands how to work against coverage and get himself open. And then for Ohio State, Bosa, the defensive end, and Adolphus Washington inside are both playing at a high level. Bosa is a left end who can jump down inside, and Adolphus Washington, he's pretty darn good. He understands how to play interior.
Nick Holley weaving his way for about 3, maybe 4 yards. It'll be 3rd down. Von Bell came up. He was the first there to make the tackle for the Buckeyes.
So for the Golden Flash of Kent State, what they have to be able to do is, if they get into 3rd downs, it has to be 3rd and that manageable area. This is a manageable area. You're 3rd and about 7. You can do that. They'd like to get to 3rd and 5. That way you can include the legs of the quarterback in the equation. But right now, this is doable.
This is 3rd and closer to a long 6. And they move the pocket again with Reardon. A throwback screen, and it's there, but great recovery for Ohio State. Darren Lee was able to close the distance as Nick Holley was not able to get to the sticks to pick up the first down, tackle 2-yard shot.
Had Holley been able to get inside, he had himself a chance. But you're exactly right. Darren Lee makes a great play. Makes a great play because he positioned himself properly and played outside in and did not give the runner a 2-way go. Gave him 1 way, took some part away, and then closed inside.
So 5 plays and a touchdown for Ohio State, 3 plays and a punt for Kent State. Anthony Melchiori, who does the punting and the field goal kicking for Kent State, gets it away to Dontre Wilson. Returnable. It's like trying to tackle a guy in a video game at times as he bounces out to the 35-yard line on 11-yard return by Dontre Wilson. Buckeyes with a 7-0 lead. End the ball when we return. For Ohio State about what this week was like, and he said it's a week I've never gone through before. We've never had, a non-victory Monday or a victory Sunday. We've never had to worry about trying to get the guys back in shape after a regular season loss since he's come here with Urban Meyer. J.T. Barrett flips it. Wide open in the flat, Ezekiel Elliott, who picks up 8.
Well, Ezekiel Elliott is another one of those players that A, has to pick up his game, and B, they have to allow him to pick up his game. So it's tough to get into the flow of the game if you're touching the ball only a few times every so often. They need to start featuring people.
Barrett again. That's an easy first down hookup with Nick Vanette.
Vanette, of course, getting a start. Harmon, their normally starting tight end, has a foot problem. Vanette's a good player. Vanette's a guy who can do all the things the first guy can do.
Plenty of time on the play clock for J.T. Barrett. Able to look to the sideline twice, dial up the option, and the pitch to Ezekiel Elliott. Demetrius Monday came up to make the stop on Elliott, but not before he picked up 8 more. Another first down. Vanette upended after a gain of 6.
Ball's coming out quick. It's good protection up front. You're going to have good protection when you're throwing the ball that quickly. But this offensive line is doing a nice job. There are no holes up front as opposed to a week ago. Now they're going with the tight coverage and showing a blitz look. See what they do.
Again, they run the option. Again, it's Elliott. Breaks a tackle. Hurdles 2 more golden flashes. Inside the 30 to the 28-yard line.
They had their opportunity. This all comes down to tackling in the open field. You see LC Refuge right there. It was assignment football. Refuge the safety coming up from the secondary. He's got to make that play.
Great pace to this Ohio State offense. Another first down for Elliott, the sophomore from St. Louis. He's got 2 touchdowns on the season. Only had 76 yards rushing cumulative through the first couple of weeks coming into this afternoon, but it's off to a great start.
I would be disappointed if this offensive line from Ohio State does not dominate this Kent State defensive front.
J.T. Barrett, long throw to the back pylon. Incomplete, looking for Corey Smith.
I like the look, though, and I like he sees it, he understands it, he makes his choice. And the ball came out quick. I like that he took his shot right there.
Working on Malcolm Pennell. They went right back to Corey Smith. He dropped 3 balls last week against Virginia Tech, and 2 of them could have been touchdowns. But he's a junior that had not played a ton. Barrett well protected, wide open again. Nick Vanette, who didn't have a catch this season before today. He's got 3 on this drive, and it's 1st and goal.
I thought a week ago they kind of ignored the tight end. And I thought the middle of the field was wide open. And Vanette, this is what they had an opportunity to be able to do a week ago. They didn't. Now they're doing it. This is like stealing right here.
Rod Smith, touchdown.
Good protection, nice quarterback play, good decision making, ball comes out quick. Can't draw it up any better than that.
The only miss so far for J.T. Barrett was the low percentage throw to the back pylon. Everything else has been high percentage. 8 for 9, 2 touchdown drives. You knew Kent State was probably walking into a very tough spot today. Ohio State coming off the loss, and that's what we've had so far. 14-0 already. Rod Smith, his 5th career touchdown, and it's a 2-score Buckeyes lead. Lead, and as you said, that touchdown like stealing.
Yeah, it really was, and it comes down to knowing and doing your job. That's what it comes down to in football. So you have to know your job, understand it, and then execute it. And defensively, for the Golden Flash, they did not execute on that touchdown. Completely dropped the coverage.
Golden Flash is about to get the football back. 3 downs and out on their opening possession, and that did nothing to slow down the Buckeyes. Ernest Calhoun deep to receive the kick of Kyle Clinton once again. And again, short kick that's returnable from the 9. Out to about the 23, and let's go back to the Buckeyes touchdown.
Yeah, so this is man coverage, okay, which means everybody's assigned somebody. So you can see this here, this here, this here. Watch this back here. Normally what would happen, either he has to peel off on this guy, or this guy in here has to get back on the outside. So one of those things didn't happen, obviously. He's wide open, and when you get to this point, okay, 2 things established. You have to read the game as a coach. What you're seeing right now is you're not going to get there with your pass rush. So you have to then think coverage before rush. And in this particular case, neither of them worked.
Swing pass to Nick Holley. When a team is so significantly trailing in the athletic department,
right,
how hard is it in the X's and O's department to just be assignment perfect in college football for the whole game? Because you have to think Kent State needs to be assignment perfect today to compete with Ohio State.
And so, and the reality is this: even if you are assignment perfect athletically, you could still be beat, and that's okay. There's no shame in that. But don't beat yourself, and that's what the Golden Flash did on that last series.
Draw play on 2nd and 7, and Holly's got some room. Out to about the 30-yard line, 3 yards shy of a first down. So now a big 3rd down coming up here for Kent State. Just get a first down.
Right.
Feel a little good about yourself. Move the chains, change field position. Something that slows down the Buckeyes and keeps your defense on the bench.
Well, they're doing things to slow down the Buckeye rush. You're seeing lots of short screens. You're seeing some draw plays. You're seeing the ball coming out and a dash with the quarterback, getting him on the edge. That's all designed to slow down that rush, or at least cause them pause. 2 pause, I should say.
Here comes a blitz, and they throw a screen behind it. Well designed. There goes Holly. Out to the 42-yard line, and that's a 3rd down conversion. And the first down for Kent State, a gain of 12.
You know, that's Nick Holley, number 4. He has a twin brother on the other side, Nate. This Holley is one competitive kid and a competitive family. He's not the biggest, not the fastest, not the strongest, but he has elements of all those things, which makes him pretty darn complete.
Nate might be even more competitive, as we found out when the two were involved in the recruitment process. High throw, incomplete, up over the head of Chris White. They had one scholarship, did Paul Haynes at the time, that he went after both brothers, Nick and Nate. He offered the scholarship to Nick. Nate Holley, the defensive player, came close to leaving and walking on at different schools because he was so upset that his brother got the scholarship offer and not him. He didn't want to go to Kent State. But then, wisely so, Paul Haynes came up with another scholarship and got them both. But it just goes to show how competitive the two are, because Nate's response was, well, why Nick?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you giving the scholarship to me? You're giving it to Nick? Well, guess what? I'm not coming then. What do you think about that? And they both ended up at Kent State. And they're both really good players.
Good players.
Play clock winds all the way down, and that's another mistake if you're Kent State you can't have.
Okay. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
And there's little to no crowd noise right now to deal with a 14-0 Ohio State lead. And now they actually may say that the sideline was granted a timeout prior to the flag being thrown. So Kent State's sideline saves them the 5 to Virginia Tech. He thought he was going to get back one of his most talented players potentially for today. Not so for Noah Spence. The junior defensive end has been suspended indefinitely after a second positive drug test for ecstasy just revealed these past couple of days. Previously, he tested positive before the 2013 Big Ten championship game. According to the conference, 2 positive tests, and you're ineligible permanently. And it has now been announced that Noah Spence is going to be seeking treatment for what he acknowledges is a drug problem. That deflected pass ends up off the hands of Chris Humphrey, and they'll call it a deflection and an interception for Ohio State.
Well, we're going to have to take a look at that down on the sideline, because first, was he out of bounds when he touched it? And second, if it wasn't and he did catch it, did he have his feet in, did he have control and have his feet in bounds? Let's see what happens.
Great awareness. The deflection by Duran Grant. Tyvis Powell was trying to stay in bounds. Let's get another look.
Look at his right foot, see if that's not. Okay, so the ball is eligible. There's control. He has his right foot down first before his left. That looks like it's not going to count. But I've been wrong before.
Not since I've known you.
Yeah. We must have just met about 10 seconds ago.
They're going, as with all plays in college football that are even borderline, to double check with the replay booth. And this one is a big one. I mean, you've got the first momentum of any kind in this game for Kent State, down 2 scores. They just picked up a 3rd down conversion a couple of plays ago. And at what point would you say Tyvis Powell has control of that football?
That's the key.
The left foot still on the ground, inbounds, but does he have possession as the right foot steps out? It was ruled an interception on the field. So because it was ruled an interception by the officials downstairs, it has to be indisputable for the replay official upstairs to change the call.
I don't know if his left foot ever lost contact.
The ruling on the field of an interception stands.
Yeah.
1st and 10, Ohio State.
That's a tough call for Kent State.
Well, it is a tough call, but I don't know if his left foot ever lost contact with the ground before the right foot came down. So
our referee today, John O'Neill, by the way, you can't get much better and much more experienced. He was the referee in the national championship game, the BCS title game last year. So this is a veteran officiating crew that he's heading up. And great field position at midfield for Ohio State. The last thing that Kent State could have, a turnover. J.T. Barrett looking for the big throw, and he's got it in stride, but a drop. Devin Smith had it bounce right off his chest.
Well, I don't know what to say. There's no excuse for that. That is well done all the way around. The conception of the play is perfect. Devin Smith's to the place in the field that they're hoping to get it to. It's right where it has to be, and he dropped it.
Drops were a problem against Virginia Tech as well. When you've got this kind of speed, though, you make up for a drop pretty quick. Ezekiel Elliott picks up a 1st down on the ground with a gain of 15.
It's easy to see what they like about Ezekiel Elliott. He has the requisite speed. He has pretty loose hips. He can make you miss a little bit. He just needs more reps. You're going to see a lot of him here at Ohio State. He's going to have his share of big games.
He already has 70 yards of total offense in the first quarter. 41 yards rushing, 29 yards receiving. J.T. Barrett looking for the big play again. Another nice throw, but that one's knocked away. Excellent coverage by Demetrius Monday on Evan Spencer. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Spencer got on top of Monday pretty quickly. T.J. Barrett saw it and then put a little bit too much air, and it slows down right here. And because of that, Monday's able to recover and knock that ball away. Had he thrown that just a little bit further out front, he had a better opportunity for a big play.
Curtis Samuel, all kinds of running room. Another Ohio State 1st down. That's a gain of close to 15 more.
Yeah, this is just well blocked. The left side of that offensive line. Big Taylor Decker, number 68, And then you saw Billy Price, 54, coming around. I like that Price kid. I think he's got a shot.
Out on the edge, it's Bennett. First and goal, Ohio State. Flags down. A couple of flags thrown from the end zone. And one at the line of scrimmage as well.
Illegal substitution on the defense. That penalty be declined. The result of the play was a first down.
Let's head down to Quint.
Bob, Ohio State wants to operate really, really fast in the red zone. Urban Meyer telling me before the game, on goal line situations, he wants to limit opposing team substitutions. The Buckeyes don't use a fullback, so they generally don't sub themselves. So look for them to go fast once they're in the red zone.
Watch for a quarterback draw here. Everybody's spread out.
Instead, it's a slant, tipped and intercepted. Kent State gets a takeaway. Exactly what the Golden Flashes needed. Matt Dellinger, the Mike linebacker, drops back and is in the right spot at the right time. And Kent State evens the turnover battle.
The ball was right where it had to be. It's right in the chest. It looked like, couldn't tell, was that Michael Thomas, number 3? This is a well thrown by it's Thomas. But it was also well defended for Monday. Monday's right on top of him. The ball hits him in the chest and comes out. Going back the other way. You got it. That's another drop. Continued from a week ago.
Demetrius Monday, let's remember, came on replacing Najee Murray, who went out as he was shaken up on the opening possession of the game. So the third corner on the depth chart made 2 big plays on that drive. The good news is for Kent State is they got a takeaway. The bad news is where it occurred. They start at their own 2.
Looks like they're bringing the blitz inside.
Juking his way out of the end zone was Anthony Murray for a gain of 2 out to the 4, and a little bit of breathing room for the Golden Flashes.
That's pretty good by Murray. He recognized that they were bringing that double A gap blitz inside, so he started to his right, let it form, and then bounce it to his left to pick up about a good two yards or so. Give him a little bit of room.
Try to spread the Buckeyes out, run it again with Murray, and he's about 2.5 yards shy of a first down. So it sets up 3rd down and a long 2 close to 3.
But it's doable, and that's what they need. Just give themselves a chance to be able to get a first and get a little momentum inside here.
Colin Reardon on a quarterback draw. He'll run for it. Again, they spread Ohio State out, and again, out of that spread look, they create some running lanes. Josh Perry made the stop.
Well, he recognizes that it's man coverage. And once he sees that it's man, he knows that those defenders are locked in on their men, so he's able to take advantage off the outside.
How long can you keep this misdirection game up and keep that Ohio State defensive front off balance?
But as long as he, just got to be smart about it. As long as they're making those type of reads, you see man take advantage of man. If they're sitting in zones, you got to sit things down. You can do this for a while.
And there was another play to be had out on the edge. The blitz came, and they threw it out to the wide receiver behind the blitz, but Josh Boyle couldn't scoop up a low throw from Reardon.
Yeah, Reardon, the fact is this. Kent State almost has to be near perfect in their execution. They're physically not as good as this Ohio State team. They knew that coming in. And I thought the coaches painted a great picture for this game. They knew exactly what they had.
They were realistic about what this was about today.
Yeah, and so on a throw like that, Reardon, you can't come back to huddle and say, I wish I had that one back. You can't have that.
Now Reardon off his back foot, throws it right up the middle, looking for Casey Pierce as Joey Bosa came untouched. Now it's 3rd down and 10.
And the other thing that Reardon's going to have to do is be a better decision maker when he's in trouble. He can't take that chance. you're just going to have to throw it down because you got guys on the other side like Joey Bosa, who's he's a beast.
Plenty of time on the play clock. Colin Reardon, the sophomore, facing 3rd down and 10, and facing a blitz again. Good throw, but well short of the first down. He picked up 4 or 5, but they'll have to punt it away.
Yeah, that's what they needed on that 2nd down. And then that makes 3rd manageable because Ohio State came with a blitz, forced them to throw quick, and look, they're not going to run away from the DBs of the defensive backs of Ohio State. Ohio State has an athletic advantage.
Still, you think about that exchange for Kent State. They get a red zone stop and a takeaway. They do pick up a 1st down. They give their punter a chance to change field position. And all in all, just for Ohio State to come away empty after starting at midfield.
So you're saying I got a chance?
That's what I'm trying to say. Line drive that is returnable for Dontre Wilson. And again, it will be great field position for Ohio State near midfield after an 11-yard return. Monday Night Football brings you a meeting between 2 reigning division champs. It's LaShawn McCoy and the Eagles' dynamic high-speed offense against 2-time Pro Bowl quarterback Andrew Luck and the Colts. No other night is Monday night. That game also available live on Watch ESPN. Eagles-Colts Monday night on ESPN.
Shoes. 3 years ago, everybody was saying that Chip Kelly offense don't work in the NFL. And now it's a dynamic, what'd you call it? A dynamic whatever.
Everyone studies it.
Yeah.
Great protection for J.T. Barrett. Another breakdown in coverage for Kent State. And Ezekiel Elliott finds himself all alone, and he picks up 19.
Yeah, this is the epitome of time if you're J.T. Barrett. This, when you give him the opportunity, look at the protection, and then I want you to watch him go through his read progression. Watch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. He gets to the 4th guy in his progression, and picks up a 1st. When that happens, you can get back there and read Tolstoy, you're in good shape.
I thought I saw Tolstoy in your work bag.
Yeah, it was. Horn piece.
A little speed end around to Dontre Wilson, and he uses that speed to pick up another 1st down and 14 more.
This is exactly what Urban Meyer saying we had to take advantage of. He knew he had an athletic advantage, and here it is. Because they don't have anybody, does Kent State, have the ability that Wilson has in terms of speed and elusiveness. So put them in space and make them have to tackle one-on-one in the open field, and you're going to win.
Right up the middle goes Rod Smith. 2.5 yards. Darius Redmond, sophomore from Miami, was there to help on the stop.
Well, there's one guy in the middle, that's John Cunningham right there, number 90. Now, he tapped his helmet, he's ready to come out. But let me tell you, that kid is a player. That's a good player. He's just a freshman. He has a little bit of John Randall in him. If you watch him before the game, he's got some issues. he's really fun for me to watch.
J.T. Barrett, all kinds of time. He'll tuck it under and run and get caught from behind. Well, one reason why John Cunningham might have to tap out is because the gas tank is half empty by the time the game starts. This is him pregame.
Yeah, you know, here's what I want you to watch. You can see Cunningham there, but look at all the guys under here. Look at this. Nobody pays attention to him at all. They're like, he's doing it again, boys. Leave him alone.
Paul Haynes, the head coach, talking about John Cunningham. He said, I've never seen anything like it before. You see him before games, he is completely out of control.
Yeah, he goes, he's disturbed. I got a kick out of that.
3rd and 7. Cut back for Corey Smith. 1st and goal.
All right, simple football. Simple football that was good by the Golden Flash of taking away a throw to the end zone. You're forcing him to throw underneath. Now you have to make the tackle. It's imperative that they make the tackle where they make the catch. You can't have the yards after catch.
Kent State couldn't even get set defensively. Reaching for the pylon is Jalen Marshall, but they'll mark him out of bounds. Close to the goal line, at the 1-yard line, and Ohio State wants to keep the tempo up. Kent State furiously trying to substitute. Rod Smith right up the middle, and that's another Ohio State touchdown.
I'm better than you, says Ohio State, and I'm going to go faster too. So you're getting the double whammy.
And gets drubbed by Notre Dame. And many think that right now the Big Ten winner is just automatically eliminated from consideration for the 14 playoff. You buy that?
I don't agree with that, and here's why. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. Every team, you hope, continues to get better. Some teams don't. Some teams get worse as they go on. Collectively, from a conference point of view, that same thing can happen. So you may very well be looking at an Ohio State team in this Big Ten that seemingly in that week last week got drubbed across the board, and by week 5 they have collectively gotten better. They're playing better football, and they're better than the other teams from the Pac-12 or the SEC or whatever. It doesn't matter, but you have to wait and see at the end, not on the front end of it. They're still developing.
Still an entire season to play.
Exactly.
2nd down and 10 from the 6 for Kent State. A little read option, and not much there on the cutback. A loss of 2 for Anthony Murray. And Quint's down there on the Buckeye sideline. Quint?
Yeah, Bob, from where I stand in terms of the Big Ten and going forward, the problem is they don't face many high-quality non-conference opponents from here on out. I mean, Ohio State, for instance, they play Cincinnati. Iowa today with Iowa State, Pitt next week. Nebraska, Miami, Minnesota, TCU. Indiana, Missouri, but there's just not that many chances for the league to get a breakout win out of conference.
And I guess it just depends how that committee views the Big Ten in and of itself. Do they need out-of-conference wins? We'll see how it plays out. Long throw to the sideline on 3rd down, bobbled and dropped by Chris Humphrey. He wouldn't have gotten the first down anyway. But just take Michigan State, for example, Matt. They lose, and that was a slugfest of a game for a long time against Oregon. If at the end of the season, Michigan State runs the table, wins the Big Ten championship game, you know now, with the only loss on their record at Oregon, they have no chance to play for a national championship?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
To me, that's ridiculous.
I agree with you.
Even Ohio State. Who knows what season will be authored by Virginia Tech? How will that loss be viewed at the end of the year? Dontre Wilson at midfield. So the Buckeyes already with a 3-touchdown lead. About to get the football back. Great field position on a knuckleball out of the end zone. And Wilson on a hop gets down the sideline. Stays in bounds to the 31-yard line of Kent State. And let's check in with Chris Cotter. All right, Chris, thanks very much. Speaking of how Virginia Tech is going to be viewed at the end of the season, all of a sudden the Hokies are in some trouble. So we'll keep our eyes on what happens between East Carolina and Virginia Tech, coming off of that very emotional and almost ingenious defensive game plan win here at the Horseshoe on Saturday night. J.T. Barrett back to work. Swing pass in the right flat to Curtis Samuel. Flag down. Samuel breaks a tackle, lost his shoe, still found a way to pick up about 6. We'll have to check the marker.
Paul Haynes was saying to us last night that they had to be able to tackle in the open field, and we've shown that here.
Defense number 91, half the distance from the end of the run, automatic first down.
They have not done a good job. As Paul Haynes gets the news, is like, what is going on? Can't we do anything right out there? You got to be able to tackle out in space. It's just, and it's not easy to do. It is not easy to do.
Paul Haynes is also confused because there is no 91 on the travel roster for Kent State. There's a 51 in Terrence Waugh. And there's a 90 in John Cunningham. It must have been 51 Terrence Waugh that got called for the penalty. So just like that, Ohio State right back in the red zone. J.T. Barrett with all day, a deflected pass intended for Evan Spencer, but it falls incomplete.
You know, at the start of the game, we said that J.T. Barrett did some good things a week ago. And I also said that it was predicated on his protection. And clearly, when he's protected, he has accuracy. He knows where to go with the ball. He sees the field. All those things exist. He just needs more reps. This is just a young pup, but you can see he's got it.
Fumbles the snap, retreats, and goes down. That's a big break for Kent State, and that will end the first quarter with Ohio State being backed up, looking at third down and a mile. (21-0) Ohio State over Kent State. J.T. Barrett off to a good start, 14 of 19 with a couple of touchdowns.
And it's the patience that he has in the pocket. He's seeing the field. It's all the things that were questioned after last week's highly pressured game against Virginia Tech. He's doing them with spades. So what does that tell you? That means that he just needs reps, Bob. He's got all the skills to be an outstanding player.
He's been preparing to do this for a long time. When he was in 5th grade, he was 15 pounds above the pee-wee weight to carry the ball. He had his dad wake him up at 5 in the morning to take him to the gym to drop the weight because he wanted to carry the football in 5th grade. He's been getting ready to do this for some time now, facing third down and long. And he will come up well short of the first down, barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. So, Quint, this sets up a field goal that might be an adventure for Sean Nurenberger.
Yeah, we'll see if they do send the freshman kicker out, who really hooked 2 kicks against Virginia Tech. And then today in warm-ups, Ohio State concludes their warm-ups with a 36-yard field goal. Wide right, he pushes that past. Second attempt, wide right. Coach Urban Meyer, arms crossed, hands on his mouth, standing right next to the kicker, growing angry with every miss. He finally hit his 5th attempt.
Here's one from 41. Maybe Urban Meyer standing 2 feet away was the problem.
Or maybe he just needed to move back 5 yards.
So Sean Nurenberger, who was 2 for 4, missing from 27 yards. One of those misses against Virginia Tech connects. And Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Wells Fargo. We head to Norman tonight. Butch Jones and the Tennessee Vols looking for an upset against senior quarterback Trevor Knight and number 4 Oklahoma. Tennessee, Oklahoma, Saturday Night Football on ABC, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific.
I'll tell you one thing. I think Butch Jones is an excellent coach. That team, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know they're going to be well coached and ready to play. They're young too. I think they might be the youngest team in terms of starts, returning starters.
You could say, according to our ESPN Football Power Index, Oklahoma with the 2nd greatest chance to run the table as compared to BYU. Unfortunately for BYU, if you look at their schedule, they could run the table, be 12-0, and win every game by 40 points. They're probably not going to make the 14 playoff. When you get to resumes stacked up against where you have to think the Power 5 conference winners will have resumes. So BYU will be a very interesting team to keep our eyes on as this college football season rolls on. This is a touchback as Ernest Calhoun lets it slip out of the side of the end zone. But if Oklahoma runs the table in the Big 12, you have to think they're going to be a part of that 14 playoff.
You know what I like about Oklahoma? And everybody was kind of holding their breath, and it looks like Strock's going to come into play here instead of Reardon. Everybody's holding their breath with Trevor Knight. Say, look, he only had one. It was a one-game season. Why are we getting all excited about it? It was one game against Alabama. He played well, but he has taken that one game, and he has continued in these first 2 weeks of his high play. And that bodes well for the Sooners.
So the redshirt freshman Nathan Strock takes over at quarterback, a switch from Colin Reardon. And Strock already being introduced to that defensive front for Ohio State. Down he goes, a sack and a loss of about 4.5. Michael Bennett came through, and then Joshua Perry helped out by Raekwon McMillan.
Raekwon McMillan, number 5, is an interesting player to me. You're going to see him lined up right there. First of all, there's good coverage down the field. But McMillan is going to come out from, see, he was deployed in the past, but he's just going to run him down inside out. Almost overran him. Raekwon McMillan, just a freshman. Physically, he's got it. 6'2", 240 pounds. But mentally, that's the part that you love about him. He loves the game, and he loves to study. This guy will be an All-American by the time he's out of here.
It took Kent State forever to get out of the huddle. And as a result, they have to call timeout.
Charge timeout, Kent State. They're first.
Second down and 14 when we return. We'll get the clock ironed out as well. They kept it running there. The last U.S. president when Ohio State lost to an in-state opponent was...
I don't know my presidents very well.
We're going to test your knowledge coming up.
Nice throw.
Bullet throw by Nathan Strock. Incomplete. James Brooks couldn't hold on. So it's now third down and about 14 for Kent State as they have made a quarterback switch. Nathan Strock in high school threw for over 7,000 yards, added 1,700 yards rushing. And as a senior, 25 touchdowns against only 3 interceptions. But this, a slightly different challenge on the road against the Buckeyes. Down 24-0.
And Bob, these quarterbacks are going to need some help. You can't be dropping balls. It may not be a perfect throw, but you got to help your quarterback. You got to make these catches.
Long throw by Strock outside the numbers.
That would be a hard one to
out.
catch. Yeah, you need a little bit better one than that.
Intended for Charles Chandler.
Chandler was running for the sticks. He underthrew that.
Well, you hate to say that this was the game we expected, but this was the game we expected. All the stars aligned for Kent State to be walking into a buzzsaw when you've got a 25-game home win streak for Ohio State and last Saturday night. And all they hear about all week is how basically their national championship hopes are over. And they have a tough week of practice with Urban Meyer and the coaching staff laying into them. They were anxious to get back out on the field today, and they have certainly shown that. Good coverage, though, as Dontre Wilson is dropped immediately with a flag down. Check that. They pick up the penalty flag. Jarrell Foster was there to make the tackle. 24-0. Ohio State on top, and they've got the ball. Sandwich with the fries. If you finish it in 30 minutes, you've completed the challenge. Kristen, by the way, finished it in 17 minutes.
Well, she's going to punch you in about 2 seconds.
Back to the offense for the Buckeyes. 24-0. They've got the lead. And J.T. Barrett spreads 5 wide. Only a 3-man rush, so he has all day, but delivers an inaccurate pass intended for Jalen Marshall. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, you said he has all day, and you're 100% right. And so that's good news for this offensive line. A week ago, not so good. They got crossed up by blitzes. They got crossed up by a lot of stunts on the inside, and sometimes they just got beat, especially in that 4th quarter. And so, good week of practice, and it's showing right now. Of course, I understand it's a lesser opponent, but their assignment right.
Better throw that time. In stride is Michael Thomas. He's down the sideline. Michael Thomas takes it the distance. Another Buckeye touchdown.
And it all started with the protection. Lots of time for J.T. Barrett to make that throw. Watch it again. Really well done. It's a 5-man protect on 4 guys. You have the advantage up front, and then it's just step and throw, and the rest is done for 6.
$31-0. 2 plays, 16 seconds. And Ohio State adds to their lead. And that offensive line for the Buckeyes hasn't let anyone through. Pat Elflein, the sophomore guard. Here are the rest of his mates. They've been pretty impregnable in front of J.T. Barrett so far as we answer our Aflac trivia question. Aflac. Who was the U.S. president the last time Ohio State lost to an in-state opponent? Warren Harding in 1921.
I was only 4, that's why I didn't remember.
31-0. Ohio State has the lead.
My dad was a little boy. He was born in 1919.
Ernest Calhoun has been busy. He might set a Kent State record for most kickoff return yards in a single game today. He's getting too many opportunities here in the first half. And he'll take a knee this time. College football primetime on ESPN, presented by Hampton Hotels, kicks off at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Cody Kessler and number 9 USC head into BC to take on Steve Adazio and the Eagles in a cross-country matchup. College football primetime on ESPN tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Also live on Watch ESPN. Boston College against USC. And how about the effect Steve Sarkisian has on this USC offense? They have stepped up the tempo.
That USC team under Sark, if they can stay healthy, they can make a real strong run at the top 4. Because that's a talented group, and they're still learning Sark. Now, Sark was there before. He's back again, this time as the head coach. But that's a talented group.
Back to Colin Reardon at quarterback. A swing pass to Nick Holly. And he hurdles out across the 30 to about the 31-yard line. Gary and Conley was there to help bump him out of bounds.
So they caught them in a little bit of man coverage, so tit for tat. They came back with a nice little pick, and Holly gets out and picks up a bunch of yardage.
So Paul Haynes and Kent State flip-flopping quarterbacks as Reardon returns.
Reardon now taking things to the line of scrimmage and running them and adjusting.
Hand off Nick Holly to midfield. And Quint, you're down there on the Ohio State sideline. How about the intensity from the Buckeyes now that they're up 31-0 on their sideline?
Well, I sense that there's a focus from everyone on this roster. Now, this is the first time all day that they've been gashed for significant yards. One thing you've noticed, they've been rotating a lot of different linebackers in the game. Cam Williams, 55, just taken out of the ball game as Joshua Perry goes back in after that long game.
Well, you'd think up 31-0, you probably would want to rotate your guys through, but this is the first play in plus territory of the game for Kent State. And it's Holly again, this time wrestled down by Perry after a gain of a yard.
Okay, so Bobby, this is what they're doing. So now what they've done, if they come out and they're spreading the field and they're counting the numbers of people that you have that you can block. And so it's numbers in the box. And so Reardon's getting to the line of scrimmage and he's seeing who we can handle and who we can't. And sometimes if there's 5 or 6 in the box, you look at the combinations. There are 4 here, 2 here, 3 here, 3 here, and how do we handle it? That's what it's doing. It's all about the numbers inside that blocking area.
Right now it's 6-on-6. And a flinch and a false start.
Number 74, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Brock McCauley was the guilty party, so that'll cost Kent State 5, and that is their 3rd penalty. Check that, 4th penalty for 38 total yards. No penalties so far for Ohio State.
Okay, you see this? You got 4 guys outside, so now that makes you count everybody inside. So it's 4, your offensive line, you're walked off out here, so it's 5 on 5. You like your odds, so you just run at it. And then within that 5, if the backer's skewed to one side, it's 3 and 2, you run to the 2 side.
Swing pass to Holly, Perry there again, gain of 1, it'll be 3rd and long.
This is what they didn't want to get in, and this is what Ohio State wanted to get them in. Now you get Joey Bosa, and you get the rest of that defensive front to get that big old pass rush going.
Here comes the blitz. Reardon tracked down and thrown down. Darren Lee. He's just 5 steps faster than the quarterback, and Reardon had nowhere to go for help.
He's 5 steps faster in a 3-step race. That's not good. You can just watch him off the edge. He's just going to come, and he comes clean. Now Holly should have picked him up. Holly looked inside out. He needs to look outside in, especially when you're releasing that tight end. Instead, you get the sack.
Dontre Wilson is back deep to receive the punt, and he'll let it bounce, and it will roll nicely for Kent State down inside the 6-yard line. A 54-yard punt, and Ohio State continues to roll.
And it's only taken them less than 9 minutes to score 31 points.
This is the first time that they've had field position go against them at any point, and it doesn't go against them for long. Ezekiel Elliott, 1 snap, and he's out across the 20 to about the 23-yard line. That's a gain of 16 yards.
Got a little bit of limp gear coming up, but that was a half a step away from going 95.
Ohio State is averaging 8.2 yards per play. Barrett fumbles the snap. Has all day, though, to pick it up, maintain his composure, and scramble for 3.
That second.
Nate Vance tripped him up, and Quint, again, is down on the Ohio State sideline.
Yeah, we're talking about substitutions. Jacoby Bourne, who had a bunch of bad snaps last week against Virginia Tech, he takes a breather on this series, and their left guard, Pat Elflein, switches over to center, yet we see another bad snap. But you also see Chase Ferris at right tackle and a switch at left guard to Joel Hill.
Well, this has now become a game with opportunities for Ohio State to do that. Move some guys around as Curtis Samuel comes up about 2.5 yards shy of a first down. Nate Terhune made the stop.
And if you're enjoying an athletic advantage, you also want to see if you're enjoying a physical advantage, just in terms of let's go punch him right square in the nose. I can tell you there's 2 guys inside. That Terhune you mentioned, Cunningham inside. Those guys, they're not going to go down without a fight.
Tennessee is the only team in FBS that came into this weekend with fewer combined starts on the offensive line than Ohio State. So these are all valuable snaps for this offensive line and quarterback. 3rd down conversion smoothly done by Barrett over the middle to Devin Smith.
Well protected again, a nice pocket to be able to step and throw. This is just like practice. See the field, take your time, good poise. I want you to watch. He looks outside, again, he goes to his right, he moves those safeties just a little bit, comes back to the inside, and the ball's right where it has to be.
Ohio State's 1-1. They lost last week, of course, to Virginia Tech. Prior to those 2 games, J.T. Barrett hadn't started a game in 23 months. Long throw to the edge, incomplete. He was trying to find Jalen Marshall. So, Matt, you talked about it. Granted, is this a lesser opponent, and are they going to win today going away? Yes. But J.T. Barrett is getting reps today
needs
that are really irreplaceable for a quarterback that tore his ACL as a senior in high school and then redshirted. It's been a long time since he's played in game situations.
Yeah, we talked about JT Barrett on Film Room, and he needs reps. He hasn't seen a lot. Every rep he gets is another one in the bank that's going to bode well for his experience.
Shovel pass. It'll be 3rd down and about 5. JT Barrett from Wichita Falls, Texas, was the first quarterback to be recruited by Urban Meyer and then commit when he came in. And in 2013, on our ESPN.com rankings, we had him ranked as the number 11 dual threat quarterback to be recruited to college football that year. 3rd and 6. He buys time against the 3-man rush. Now escapes the pocket and is hit hard out of bounds right at the 1st down marker. Maybe a half-yard shot.
But a nice job of pulling it down, not getting what he wants down the field. So go ahead and use your feet, and that's what he does well.
And Ohio State's going to go for it.
Making good decisions here. Well, they should. They should, because they've completely abused the offense of the Golden Flash.
Well, they wanted to go for it with tempo. Here's Ezekiel Elliott right up the middle, easily done. 4th down conversion for the Buckeyes as Elliott picks up 8.
And so Elfine inside, number 65, and see Billy Price, 54, and they're just going to get after it up right in here. That's where you're going to win. Nicely done by the left guard. Then you can see Taylor, 68, kicking out. So they are winning physically as well.
9th play of the drive. It began back at about the Ohio State 3. JT Barrett, strike, delivered to Corey Smith. That looks to be good for another Ohio State 1st down, and it is a gain of 12 more.
I would let JT Barrett, if you're sitting at home, you're thinking, what the heck, they're killing him. They're up by 31. Why do you have him in? He's young. He needs to see things. You like to see composure. There's a lot of things with the quarterback you can measure, but there's one thing you can't measure, and that's poise. And when you see it, when a guy has it, then you want to keep on letting that stuff develop.
Play action, JT Barrett again. This time he escapes the pocket. Now, Tom Herman, the offensive coordinator, told us he doesn't do anything great. He does everything well. And he loves him for that reason, that he is really a well-rounded, balanced quarterback that doesn't have that definable strength, but just does everything well enough to succeed.
Yeah, you don't have to be the biggest, the fastest, and the strongest. You just have to be big enough, fast enough, and strong enough. And he has all those things.
Option. Barrett will keep it. Pick up the 1st down. Now, you dissected that Virginia Tech tape play by play. When you watched Barrett in that game, what were the couple of things that you think he needed to improve upon the most moving forward to maybe give this team a chance to be in the mix at the end of the season?
Well, vision. And it's the same thing as here. Now, that was good vision. Now, he was playing that, and you had refuge number 7 there on a string. So that was one thing. But it's your vision down the field and his awareness of potential blitzers. That's where he really needs to work.
Another shovel pass, and this one diagnosed. Richard Gray immediately dropped Curtis Samuel. A gain of a couple.
That's not easy, because you're not going to see that look all the time. You are going to see potential blitzers and guys faking and this and that. He'll be able to discern all that. But it's the stuff that you off the periphery. They were bringing corner blitzes, and he missed them. Now, that was a good learning experience, something that in the future he'll be a lot more aware of.
His 13th play of the drive is a lob to the end zone, incomplete, flag down. Evan Spencer got tied up. LC Refuge was there in coverage. We'll have to check the penalty.
Pass interference, defense, number 7. Foul occurred in the end zone. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic 1st down.
So first and goal, Ohio State.
We're going to watch refuge. He's on the top side. The only thing I can see that they called would have been his right hand on the receiver. He's using great coverage. He's in great position. That's probably what they called.
J.T. Barrett with Curtis Samuel to his right. First and goal. Play action. Hop pass back of the end zone for the touchdown. The tight end Marcus Baugh.
That was a leverage throw and catch. Well done by J.T. Barrett. You're going to watch Baugh. He's going to get to the top side. See, now he's just going to use his body as leverage. You're shielding yourself between the ball and the defender, and Barrett throws it right where it has to be.
First touchdown reception for the redshirt freshman Marcus Baugh, who has a chance to play today with Jeff Hireman sitting this game out. And it is 38-0. Ohio State. What a march that was. 13 plays, 94 yards. Touchdown pass number 4 for J.T. Barrett. And the Buckeyes are rolling. Taking it out on Kent State. Bob Wischusen and Matt Millen, Quinn Kesnick. Let's go back to the last touchdown.
Yeah, Marcus Baugh, the freshman from Riverside, California. Now he knows his assignment, so what he's trying to do is get that safety on his inside. That will give him leverage. That means I'm keeping him to one side, I can work away from it. So now that's Holly working on him. He actually closes on the ball pretty well, but because he leveraged him pretty well and kept him on his hip, it gave him a window to be able to throw to, and Barrett hit it perfectly.
4 touchdowns now for J.T. Barrett. And another chance for Ernest Calhoun from the goal line. Brought down at the 18. And in case you missed it, video of that touchdown is now posted on the SportsCenter app. Available on your mobile devices and tablets whenever you need it. 13 plays, 94 yards, longest scoring drive for Ohio State this season. And about the only time-consuming drive they've had here in the first half. Obviously had some real estate to cover, but they have struck like lightning the other times they've had the football. 21 first downs for Ohio State, 3 for Kent State here in the first half. And it's still Colin Reardon at quarterback. Here comes the pressure. They screen behind it. There goes Nick Holly. There's first down number 4 for Kent State out to the 30-yard line.
Holly's going to slip his coverage, the blitzer there. I don't know where the coverage got to. It looked like they were man-to-man outside, and I didn't really see a pick on the inside.
Nice keep by Reardon. Ohio State's interior bought the fake, and that allows Reardon to pick up 6 yards. Duran Grant was there to bump him out, but not before Reardon escaped. Plenty of movement. Reno Rita, the left tackle, backed up as Joey Bosa came across.
False start. Offense number 63. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Bob Wischusen and Matt Millen, Quinn Kesnick here at Ohio Stadium. And Matt, October 4th, Kent State goes to Northern Illinois. And that begins their conference season. We talked to their coaching staff. They still have a game against Virginia wedged in between this one against Ohio State and their conference opener. But they feel like their team is improving. They feel like they should be a factor in the MAC. Second down and long now as Reardon throws one over the middle, and that's good for a first down. Well, to Casey Pierce. So what can they get out of a day like today as now they move towards what really is the important part of their schedule when they open conference play?
Well, it has all to do with the starting point. Where did they start just 3 weeks ago? I think Paul Haynes was very realistic with his team. He watched that first game, and they lost. And they're going to end up going 0-3 here to start the season. But they lost. But if you watch the first game to the second game, they got better. They got better in the offensive line. They got better in tackling. Defensively, they were a little bit better. And their takeaway in this game is going to be the same thing. Where did we get better in this? You know, did we take advantage of opportunities that were presented? He's going to be disappointed with his open field tackling. He also understands that he's seeing a different athlete than he normally does. But regardless, you're a competitive guy, and you got to adapt the attitude that the Holly boys have had going into this thing. Like, they came into this thing going, we're winning this game. So they'll be better as a team coming out of this.
They faked the bubble screen, and a little end-around handoff for a gain of 5. Josh Perry was there to bring down Nick Holly. Let's take a look at what Kent State has on the horizon. Now, September 27th, they wrap up the out-of-conference against Virginia, but that's when MAC play begins at Northern Illinois, and that Northern Illinois game for pretty much everyone in the MAC becomes kind of the mini Super Bowl, because they've been the kings of the hill for the past couple of years.
Yeah, Rod Carey's done a nice job up there. Bob Cole, their offensive coordinator, does a really nice job.
Colin Reardon throws across his body, deflected ball, intercepted by Joshua Perry. The second interception by the Ohio State defense, both off of deflected balls. So the Buckeyes get another takeaway, and they're at midfield with 1:46 to go in the half.
Well, Reardon tries to fit it into tight traffic. Is that Humphrey? I couldn't see if it was 6 or 8.
It's Chris Humphrey, the intended receiver.
Yep.
And Tyvis Powell, check that Eli Apple was there to knock it away.
Yeah, Apple was all over him. It was very good coverage. And the ball was slightly outside his box. I mean, what are you going to do?
Off the turnover, the home run ball connects. Staying in bounds and walking into the end zone is Devin Smith with another Ohio State touchdown.
Devin Smith puts J.T. Barrett over 300 yards. That whole thing, again, it's the same story all game long. This offensive line has given Barrett plenty of time to step and throw and see the field, and he's done a good job with it.
So Ohio State is taking out all of the week-long frustrations off the loss against Virginia Tech on Kent State, but their offense has looked as fluid as could be. J.T. Barrett now with 5 touchdown passes here in the half.
And he read the blitz, he read the coverage, and put the ball right where it had to be. Like I said, he's over 300 yards, 311 yards now. Smith just does the rest.
And Devin Smith is a big play machine. He came into today with 19 touchdowns, so make that number 20. His 20 touchdown receptions average over 42 yards each. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's ridiculous. A 42-yard average on 20 touchdowns. And that also breaks a tie for 5th place all time, as he now passes Joey Galloway and Dane Sanzenbacher in Ohio State history with most touchdown receptions. He's now number 5 by himself with 20. Ernest Calhoun from the 2. Out to the 21. Let's go back to John Saunders in the studio. Well, the quarterbacks keep flipping and flopping for the Who's, but Grayson Lambert, who we called on opening day against UCLA, got pulled for Matt Johns. Matt Johns almost pulled that game out of the fire. Looks like Grayson Lambert has worked his way back into being the go-to guy.
I don't know about the inconsistency at quarterback, but I do know of the consistency of those 2 pass rushers they have down there. They're pretty good.
Colin Reardon checks down underneath for a gain of 9 to Ernest Calhoun.
Eli Harold, number 7 for them on the outside, is outstanding. And 88, remember his name? For Virginia. Outside backer.
Down to a minute to go in the first half, 2nd down and 1. Well, Bill Walsh was always known, as you know, as an offensive genius, but I remember something he said about defense. He said there's nothing more important in football than a 4th quarter pass rush. And if you can get a 4th quarter pass rush going, that's something that Virginia will have this season. They might surprise a couple of teams and win some games in the ACC that going in you don't think they should, because that pass rush, those guys can wreck a game.
Yeah, they really can.
Reardon fakes the throwback screen and spikes the ball into the ground. The officials ruled out a fumble. I would think that that would be an incomplete pass.
Yeah,
his arm's coming forward, and they do now say incomplete.
Yeah, he gave it an incomplete pass, but that was a good decision. Good decision by the quarterback to pull off the screen. It was going to get eaten alive. Now he's going to take the throw, and it just kind of comes out of his hand. And his arm is going forward, therefore it is an incomplete pass.
They want to add a couple of seconds to the game clock, and they're having a problem up in the press box getting that done. Eventually they want to work it to 31 seconds. It went from 29 seconds to 31 minutes and 29 seconds. Now it's at 10 seconds. Now they've got it at 31. And the crowd applauds. 2nd down and 10. And we've got it at all zeros. And that might take us to halftime on the run by Anthony Murray. See if Reardon wants to try and get one more play off before halftime.
Throw it deep.
Kent State has a timeout left. Down to 8 seconds to go in the half. And they will get one more play off. He's under pressure. And that takes us to halftime.
Now there's a flag.
With a flag down.
Can't end on a flag if it's a defensive foul.
Pass interference. Defense number 5. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Will extend the period with one time down.
So one more play, unless Ohio State commits another defensive penalty before the half. Urban Meyer has to be happy with how his team has responded today. Obviously, Matt, they're the better team, but they've played like it. They've dominated this game on both sides, and they've executed.
And in all facets. And he's got to be happy with his offensive line, because a week ago they struggled. And he's got to be happy with his quarterback play, because his decision-making has been superb.
So one untimed down after the penalty, and Reardon tries to extend up the sideline, out of bounds and incomplete, and now it is officially halftime. 5 first-half touchdown passes for J.T. Barrett. 45-0 Ohio State leads. We'll head to the studio and our halftime report following these commercial messages.
Would probably give him one series, and that's it.
Well, Cardell Jones is the backup to the backup. Obviously, we expected Braxton Miller to be the starting quarterback this whole year for Ohio State, but injured his shoulder in camp before the start of the season. That turned things over to J.T. Barrett, but Cardell Jones was right there head-to-head with J.T. Barrett trying to fight for that backup spot. Ernest Calhoun opens up the second half with a return out to about the 28. Let's go down to Quinn.
Very happy with the start and the response. Urban Meyer and his Buckeyes. His focus in the second half, quite honestly, got a lot of young guys on this two deep. Players who did not get to play against Navy or Virginia Tech last week. Says this is their opportunity. Many of them are freshmen and sophomores to develop depth, to work their way up that ladder. And so he's eager to assess the final 30 minutes.
And if you're the Golden Flash, you want to see a little consistency from drive to drive. They want to be able to get some points, but they want to see some consistency.
They'll try a little throwback screen, and that ball hung in the air, and as a result, Nick Colley took a shot from Duran Grant.
And Nick Colley popped right up. Nick Colley's a tough guy. Duran Grant read that. That ball hung in the air way too long. Got some pressure on the inside. They brought themselves a blitz in the middle with Raekwon McMillan. Looked for another down.
Incomplete on second down, intended for Holly again. Good coverage by Joshua Perry.
Josh Perry was all over the coverage. And so they're contesting every throw. They're getting a rush when they need to get a rush. They're getting it with 4. They bring pressure sometimes with 5 or more. But the coverage on the outside has been very good for these Buckeyes.
How multiple can this Ohio State defense get based on what you saw on tape?
The capabilities are there to do whatever. They have speed on the outside, but they're still young. And so this is still a learning curve for them as well. This game right here still will help them confidence-wise.
4-man rush on third down. Reardon delivers a strike, but short of the sticks. Casey Pierce comes up at least 4 yards short. Tracked down by Tyvis Powell.
Tyvis Powell closed on it. And that's what, right there, is what Kent State has not been able to do. It's the yards after catch. You can make the catch. We're going to tackle you right away. Tyvis Powell did a nice job and sets up this 4th down.
So Melchiori will punt, and Jalen Marshall is back this time deep to receive. And the kick's blocked. It is a staple of Urban Meyer coach teams. The ball's still loose down inside the 10-yard line. It looked like Jeff Green got through and blocked the kick. And it'll be 1st and goal Buckeyes inside the 5. Since 2001, Urban Meyer coach teams have now blocked 61 kicks. And that's the 10th time Ohio State has blocked a kick since Urban Meyer arrived.
Well, you know, it's pretty easy to block a kick when nobody blocks you. And he does just that. And when I see Quint, I'm going to owe him $1 because he bet me $1 they'd block a kick in this game, Q.
This is actually going to be Kent State ball. That ball was fumbled on the return. So as a result, after it was stripped away, looked like Delvin McDaniel possessed the ball. So Kent State will have it down at their own 2-yard line. I thought you'd have to think that that was ruled to have been a fumble unless they're going to rule that Ohio State recovered the ball at the 2-yard line.
No, there was no possession.
That's possession.
Possession is gained right there and stripped. You're right.
And no, it is Kent State ball. Kent State has their offense on the field, and Reardon will throw from the end zone. And he'll be run out of bounds at about the 4-yard line. So
good decision. Good decision by Reardon. I'll tell you who's going to be an exciting player to watch. Number 5, Raekwon McMillan, that inside linebacker out of Georgia. This kid, he has good instincts. He has what you can't teach. And he's willing. He's a very willing student. He loves the game. Physically, he's gifted. He's going to be fun to watch through the years. Ohio State's always had good inside linebackers, and he's another one.
Nick Colley to about the 5-yard line. So it will be 3rd down and 7.
This is, I want you to watch him right here, number 5. Now this is a blitz. He's coming. but in the middle of that thing. You see how he took that guy on and leveraged him, had his eyes back inside? Those are small, just little positional things that you understand or don't, and he comes by it naturally.
Luke Fickell pointed him out yesterday as we were asking him about some of the young players he wants to increase their playing time, and he said McMillan. He said he's ready. He's got a chance to be really good. Reardon from the end zone and getting swamped under is Josh Boyle. So after getting a punt blocked and then off the fumble recovery, Kent State getting the football back. Now they'll have to kick it from the end zone. Melchiori gets away a knuckleball. Jalen Marshall at the 42. Inside the 30. Ohio State starts again in Kent State territory when we come back early in the second half. Buckeyes, and they look to add to a 45-0 lead. Although right now, Ohio State fans, if they're looking at the out-of-town scoreboard, they don't like to see what's going on with Virginia Tech. They need Virginia Tech from a resume standpoint to go on a run and be a real factor in the ACC, which they might end up being, but at last check at halftime, they were losing to East Carolina 21-7.
Still the same score.
J.T. Barrett hands. And up the gut goes Curtis Samuel. Gain of about 3 on first down.
See, he was in the middle of that, coming up with a couple of claps, and our guy Cunningham in there. John Cunningham, the 6 foot, 300-pound nose tackle. Still playing with the same zeal.
Samuel again. Cunningham is there to help pick him up. After a gain of 5, it'll be 3rd down and 2. Jordan Italiano came up to help on the stop as well.
Cunningham tried to take on a double team. They probably took on about 600 pounds of man. He gave about 3 yards before he made the play. Nose tackle is not an easy position to play. You are the guy who forms the point for your entire defense. And a good one is hard to find, but he's got the makings of a good one.
Nice play fake that sets up a wide open edge pass to Evan Spencer. And it's 1st and goal. You know, in developing over the years in the NFL, you see more and more teams, especially the good defenses, going 3-4. Oh, yeah. That 3-4 nose tackle job in the NFL, that's a tough guy to find.
It's a hard guy to find, and they played a little different than they did back in the day. But they'll offset him a little bit, and there's a flag down.
It looked like Curtis Samuel got a little anxious.
Number 4 offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Samuel leaned forward before the ball was snapped.
One thing I see here with our guy Cunningham, he'll tap his helmet every now and then. You don't like to see that. So, but he's a young guy. He's a young guy. He's an emotional guy, and he's a passionate guy, and a talented guy. He just needs to be in a little bit more shape kind of guy.
Samuel gets another chance on the cutback to about the 6. This stable of running backs at Ohio State, just like the stable of wide receivers, trying to replace a lot of lost production. Not only do you lose Braxton Miller, and that became the headline all the way through the start of the season, but Carlos Hyde and Philly Brown both being gone as well. I mean, those two together combined for about 2,300 yards of offense last year between the two.
Carlos Hyde was the first back taken off the board in the spring draft for the NFL, and he's a talented guy. But the piece of the puzzle that gets lost with this offense has been this new offensive line.
Right.
I mean, essentially, it's a brand new line. You got 4 of the 5 guys are new starters, and they're experimenting inside. You can see the Buckeyes in the draft right there from a year ago. And Corey Lindsey, center there for the starting now for the Packers. Right now, they have Billy Price, the guard, moved inside to center.
And a nice block for a touchdown to Jalen Marshall.
And it was Price's block that sprung it. The talented kid, that 54. Watch Billy Price is going to try to capture that top shoulder. You see how he worked his hips and hands? That was really well done. You're taking what the defensive guy gives you. See how he gave a little bit and captured the top right shoulder and then got his hips turned. As a defender, that's what you hate to see. As an offensive line coach, you pat him on the back.
Fifth teacher and houses the Ohio General Assembly, one of the oldest working state houses in the United States. All of that information jotted down on the card by Matt Millen for me, and I appreciate the way that he continues to educate me early in this college football season.
Not a problem, Bobby.
It's amazing.
I love the architecture of that Greek revival period.
You are a walking Encyclopedia Britannica.
Thank you very much.
Britannica McMillan is Britannica Millen is his
like
nickname.
Titanica Millen is more like they'd call me in Detroit.
No, you've thrown a couple deck chairs off as the years have gone by.
Yeah.
Ernest Calhoun's going to need ice packs tonight. That's another kickoff return for Calhoun out to the 25, and Chris Cotter back in our studios. Chris? Wow, West Virginia had that game seemingly in control, and West Virginia in their opener tried to do the best they could to stay with Alabama and did for a while. That's an interesting game. A little wheel route down the sideline, and there's a flag thrown. Anthony Murray looks like draws the penalty.
Looking at that West Virginia game, that was awful tackling. It's just. They needed to get better on the defensive side of the ball because they gave up a ton of yards a year ago.
Pass interference, defense, number 55. 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
So the penalty goes Kent State's way. We talked about the offensive production that Ohio State had to replace. They had some defensive guys leave too. One of them's here with Quint.
Yeah, that is Ryan Shazier, now Pittsburgh Steeler. Kind of working the sidelines today like a captain, which you may have been because you would have been a senior. Take me behind the scenes. What's it been like for these players after last week's Virginia Tech loss?
I've been talking to a lot of them, and a lot of them just said they're trying to make a statement today, show everybody that they're trying to bounce back and just get back to what they're known to. They pretty much beat themselves last week, and they just try to fix up on those mistakes.
J.T. Barrett today with a big day. You played against him last year. He was a scout team quarterback. How would you best describe what he's been able to do so far this season?
I see JT's doing well. He's still learning. Everybody their first few games at quarterback, it was tough, you know. So JT, he's just still learning. The whole offense and defense is still young, so it's just a learning process for all of them. And once they all gel, I think we're gonna get it rolling.
What are you learning from Dick LeBeau, former Ohio State alum, I believe, now with the Steelers?
Oh, I'm learning a lot. He's teaching me a lot about schemes, techniques, down and distance splits, everything. Just giving you little keys to let you know what might be coming and what's ahead. So I'm just trying to be like a sponge, learning from him, Lawrence Timmons, and all the older guys that's around us.
This Buckeye team, a new defensive coordinator, Chris Ash, now working alongside Luke Fickell. What differences do you see in last year's scheme versus this year's?
I try to listen in sometimes, but the terminology is a little bit different. And Curtis and some of the guys were telling me they made it a little bit easier on the players with some of the assignments that they have to do. And it seems like they're blitzing a little more, and I see a lot of linebackers and D linemen in the backfield a lot. So
that's a good thing. Thank you, Ryan. Continued success.
All right, Quint, thanks very much. Third down conversion for naught. Casey Pierce makes The reception, Cam Burris makes the tackle. And Matt, you look at it from Ryan Shazier's standpoint. What's the leap mentally going from even one of the more complicated schemes college-wise to now you're a linebacker for Dick LeBeau?
Yeah, and Dick is one of those guys who gives you a lot. It's a lot to digest. You've got to be a student of the game when you walk up to that next level, and you have to have a good understanding. And Shazier will fit that scheme extremely well.
How so?
Well, because he runs well. He runs well and he has good athleticism, and Dick LeBeau loves to take advantage of that. He'll have him lining up all over the place, covering things that you'd look at, you'd say, boy, that's unsound, and it isn't. So Shazier athleticism will look just like this punt return.
Speaking of athleticism, Jalen Marshall to the 37-yard line of Kent State. There is a flag on the near sideline.
Illegal formation on the kicking team. 5 players in the backfield. That foul will be added to the end of the run. First down, Ohio State.
So a big return by Jalen Marshall. The Buckeyes in business again, and starting September 25th, TGIT. Thank God it's Thursday. That's the night for the premiere of How to Get Away with Murder, starring Viola Davis. That's Thursday, September 25th, after the premiere of Scandal on ABC. All 3 phases have been dominated by Ohio State, and it looks like J.T. Barrett's day is now done. Cardale Jones will take over at quarterback, and why not? With a 52-0 lead, get some of your less experienced players an opportunity. Cardale Jones on a keeper. He's got a first down. Sophomore from Cleveland gains 11.
Big man, 6'5", 250 pounds, runs well, has a big arm. I mean, a big arm. He can make all the throws. It was a tight competition between, it was Braxton Miller and then Cardale Jones and then J.T. Barrett. And then just right before Braxton got hurt, they made the switch to the number 2, kind of like, he's playing pretty good, let's see what he does. And then all of a sudden Braxton Miller gets hurt, J.T. Barrett's up, and Cardale Jones is out of the starting spot. But this is a talented guy.
Yeah, Tom Herman was funny telling that story. Said in spring, as you said, it was neck and neck, and then Urban Meyer holds a press conference after a summer camp workout and says, well, it looks like J.T. Barrett has nudged ahead of Cardale Jones, probably taking over the lead for the number 2 spot. That day, Braxton Miller gets hurt. And so all of a sudden the media goes right back to that press conference and goes, whoa, J.T. Barrett's ahead of Cardale Jones. He must be the starter. And that's the way it kind of came down.
There's some things that J.T. Barrett brings to the table that Cardale may not do just as well. And one of those things is, well, this is a classic case of not being great at everything, but being really good at everything. And that's J.T. Barrett. Cardale Jones has him in arm strength. Cardale Jones has him in his ability sometimes to see things down the field based on his height. But an overall play, J.T. Barrett, he picks it up in a lot of other areas.
Cardale Jones leaves it for Curtis Samuel, and he almost got to the pylon. Cut down by Najee Murray, who went out of the game on the first drive of the afternoon. Good to see that he's able to work his way back in, and it will be 2nd down and goal from the 3. Up the middle, stopped initially, keeping his feet alive and getting into the end zone for the touchdown is Curtis Samuel. How about that second effort? He got popped at the 1-yard line and kept the play alive.
Yeah, that was great awareness, and didn't stop at all, and had good balance. This is Curtis total service right here. He gets hit. Understands exactly. Now watch, his hand is down, but his wrist isn't down. Maintains his balance and scoots in for a score.
He's only a freshman. Played at Erasmus Hall in Brooklyn.
Home
ends
of?
up here in Columbus.
Home of Al Davis, Erasmus High.
Will step aside. Another touchdown for the Buckeyes, and they are pouring it on here at home. And welcome back to Columbus. Thank you, Chris. Bob Wischusen alongside Matt Millen. Quinn Kesnick here as well. And Ohio State has put on a show. 59-0 is every bit indicative of how dominant the Buckeyes have been. 457 yards of offense, 6 touchdown passes for J.T. Barrett. He's now done for the day. And Cardale Jones just took them on the short field and led them on another touchdown drive. And here's Ernest Calhoun out to the 25. On the return, well, Saturday Night Football on ABC presented by Wells Fargo. We go to Norman tonight. See if Butch Jones and the Vols can pull off an upset against Trevor Knight and number 4 Oklahoma. It's Tennessee against the Sooners. Saturday Night Football on ABC, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific tonight. As we take a look at our college football rankings brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Very impressive for Baylor last night at Buffalo. Oregon early, trailing to Wyoming. And a couple of teams in the top 10 playing tonight. Not only Oklahoma, but also USC is at BC. Nathan Strock back in the game. And it looks like he may have drawn a flag. Hit late, personal foul coming against the Buckeyes.
Roughing the passer, defense number 10. 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
That's Jalen Holmes. Reserve defensive end called for the penalty.
I guess that's what they call the penalty anymore.
Hard when you leave your feet to not land somewhere. And it was a little bit of a push. So the Golden Flashes with a first down and a handoff to Anthony Murray for a couple of yards. Now you may notice on all of the Kent State helmets the number 54 on the side of their helmets. Well, that is being worn in honor of the late Jason Bitsko. Starting Kent State center, 21 years of age and a fourth-year junior, was found unresponsive in his off-campus apartment by paramedics and police back on August 20th, and efforts to revive him were unsuccessful. Now, foul play not suspected. The investigating police believed he died of an undiagnosed and yet to be determined medical issue, but it has really been something that's been difficult for these Kent State players emotionally to overcome. Jason Bitsko's parents, Randy and Pam, made the trip here today to cheer on the Golden Flashes. And not only do you lose a very valuable player, but you lose a friend, you lose a teammate, and emotionally, it's been hard for that Kent State group to overcome the passing of Jason Bitsko. So they're wearing the 54 on the sides of their helmets this season in tribute. 3rd down and 5. Blitz coming. Strock unloads, throws it away. Let's go down to Quinn.
Bob, Jason's scholarship, the dad Randy and the mom Pam, as you mentioned, his scholarship, the parents went to Coach Haynes and said, please give his scholarship to a walk-on. Jason was the type of guy on the team. He was a real academic leader. He was a mentor to a lot of the younger players. And it was the dad at the service on August 25th who kind of pulled this team, through their healing and said, it's okay. It's okay. He's in a better place right now. And even Ohio State was aware of it. Gene Smith, their athletic director, reached out to the folks at Kent State saying, we want to have a moment of silence before the game. But the Kent State administration and team agreed that, no, we're beyond that. It's time for us to move forward.
The punt will be downed, it looks like, inside the 2-yard line, and that is amazing strength shown by the parents of Jason Bitsko, because I can't imagine being able to deal with that in that level-headed a fashion so soon after it happens. It's just every parent's nightmare, the idea at any age that you would lose a child.
And the thing that is still bothersome is it's still undetermined the cause of death. That would bother me.
Well, his family, the school, the team, they've handled everything with such grace. And a fitting tribute to their teammate with the 54s on the side of their helmets this season. But it's been a struggle today for Kent State here in Columbus. 59-0, back to the offense, Cardell Jones. And the Buckeyes, and they'll run it straight ahead with Curtis Samuel out close to the 10-yard line.
This is valuable time for this young group. Billy Price had started the game at guard. They have him in center. That center position it's one of the most pivotal positions in all of college football and pro football, because he is the guy who's the main communicator. You can see him calling things out, and then that gets echoed down the line to keep everyone on the same page.
A swing pass from Jones to a wide open Samuel, and he's down the sideline. Finally knocked out shy of the 40. Puts him out at the 39-yard line. And that's a gain of 30 more for the Ohio State offense.
They're just clearing out with the 3 receivers down and then swinging it to the outside to Samuel. It's effective 2 reasons. 1, because the receivers did a nice job of clearing, and 2, it's not been assignment perfect by the Golden Flash.
Another handoff out to about the 43-yard line. Looks like Warren Ball's going to get a chance, as they are deep down the depth chart now for Ohio State at running back.
I still don't know who Ohio State, when they get into the meat of their schedule, so to get to like a team like Michigan State, who's going to be their guy? Who's the guy who they're going to say, this is going to be our bread and butter for running? I don't know if that's defined yet.
It's the sophomore from Columbus, Warren Ball, again, about 2 yards shy. Well, it seems to be Ezekiel Elliott, at least to start games, at the top of the depth chart, but Curtis Samuel's shown some flashes today. Rod Smith has gotten an opportunity as well. Can you do it by committee, or would you want to have an identifiable bell cow like they had in Carlos Hyde?
Well, when you got ready to play Ohio State a year ago, you're like, oh, we got to stop Carlos Hyde.
Right.
That's what you want. I mean, you played him years ago. It's like, oh, I got to stop Archie Griffin. Oh, I got to stop, whoever it was.
And there's Curtis Samuel for the first down.
John Brockington back in '70 and the late '60s. Those guys, you strapped it up because that was 100% man coming at you. I don't know if they have that. Have they defined that guy yet? Jim Otis is another one who comes to name, number 35 for Ohio State. Tough guy.
Cardell Jones keeps it himself, uses the stiff arm. He's tough to bring down.
That's a big man.
250 pounds, picking up 8 yards. He took Malcolm Pennell and spiked him down to the ground as he kept his feet and picked up 8.
Well, for the Buckeyes, they came into this game, and the predominant thought was they should really abuse this Kent State team, and they've lived up to that. They've just gotten after them in every facet of the game. This is the way a dominant team is supposed to beat
A little
a
flip,
lesser team.
and Curtis Samuel, right at the first down marker, takes a hit, and a heavy one at that. Malcolm Pennell came up to help on the stop, and that should take us to the end of the third quarter. And 15 minutes to go here in Columbus. Can Kent State get on the board before the game's over? Ohio State 59, Kent State nothing as we head to the fourth. Welcome back to Columbus. Bob Wischusen alongside Matt Millen, Quinn Kesnick, and the rest of our tremendous hard-working crew. Starting off the fourth quarter between Kent State and Ohio State, and the Buckeyes have rolled from the start. trying to bounce back, and they have done just that from that loss last Saturday in this building. Ball goes up the middle for a couple of yards and a first down. They lose to Virginia Tech last week. Virginia Tech is not helping them out with their efforts so far this week.
Still 21-7.
That's East Carolina on top of Virginia Tech.
But you know, Ohio State can do nothing about that. All they can do is improve as a team and continue to beat every team that's on their schedule. And that's it. Urban Meyer has chosen to slow this one down from about the middle of the third quarter. He's been keeping it on the ground.
Up the middle, Samuel for 4 yards. Well, again, after the loss, not only by Ohio State to Virginia Tech, but also the other Big Ten losses. And I was watching PTI, pardon the interruption, with Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. They threw the topic out there. Is the Big Ten done as far as the playoff is concerned based on just the outcome of last weekend? As trying to turn the corner and get down the sideline, and doing so is Samuel. He may have stepped out of bounds. If not, he's inside the 10. It'll be first and goal again. And their point at the time was done. The Big Ten crossed them off. There will not be a Big Ten representative in the 4-team playoff at the end of the season. And that's without a conference game, for the most part, being played in any of the Big Five power conferences. I just think it's ridiculous to write off the chances of the Big Ten putting a team in the playoff, Matt, without at least seeing how the conference schedules shake out for the rest of the country.
Yeah, I completely. It's a long year. A lot of things happen. You know, guys get hurt. Some guys don't. Teams get better. Some teams don't. So we'll let it play.
Does Samuel get in? Stop shy of the goal line. It'll be second down and goal. But let's say, just for the sake of argument, the SEC beats up on each other a little bit, and you've got, like we had a few years ago, a couple of 2-loss SEC teams. SEC's always looked upon as the no-brainer team that's going to have at least 1 or 2 teams in the playoff. And you're an Ohio State team that runs the table and wins the Big Ten championship game included.
And you've clearly gets better as the season goes.
And you've got a win against Michigan State as part of your season. Second and goal. There's another touchdown. Curtis Samuel again. You're going to tell me that there isn't even an argument to be made for an Ohio State at the end of the season, depending on how things shake out?
Yeah, I'm on your side. I completely agree with you. I just think it's way too early. There's too much football to be played. And Curtis Samuel gets his 100th yard on that carry.
And second touchdown. $66-0. It has been that easy, but that well executed as well by the Buckeyes on both sides of the ball today. Ohio State fan, keeping your eyes on East Carolina, Virginia Tech. Start to imagine what the resume may need to be at the end of the season. Virginia Tech's in the red zone as they are trying to punch one in against East Carolina and make it a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. Ernest Calhoun leaps out of bounds at about the 22.
Ernest Calhoun's had a lot of practice today returning kicks, but he's got some game to him. That guy, if you give him a little bit of a crack, he gets some help from his friends, he's going to do some damage in the back returning. He's pretty good.
So Colin Reardon trying to execute to put some points on the board before the game's over. Still with 12.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Brings Kent State's offense back out on the field again. And he'll drop back and throw one over the middle that's intercepted. Eric Smith picks it off for the Buckeyes. And Ohio State has it again in plus territory.
That's completely on Reardon. 100%. That was a little bit of panic. He got the pressure and he just thought he had it, couldn't step into it. Watch the pressure come up, he feels it, and he just throws it to the middle of the field, which you can. I mean, you've got to set yourself and see the rest of the field.
Let's head down to Quint Kesnick.
Bob, what's amazing to me now is we still have 12 minutes to go, but this game was 45-0 at halftime. The amount of people who are still here in the upper deck watching their Buckeyes, I think it really shows how hardcore this fan base is. They want to see the young guys. They want to see the new faces. They're here to watch the full 60 minutes regardless of score.
Yeah, there are now some empty seats, but you're right, Quinn. It was a full house even for Kent State. You can fit over 107,000 now in here. And they have a student section that they added to in the end zone to the right as we pan to the right. And behind the end zone at the opposite end of the stadium, that is on the right side of your screen there. The entire end zone section is nothing but students. And they can fit about 28,000 students in that section. Added seats to it this past offseason. Ball up the middle, and the ball comes out. And Kent State gets it back on the fumble. So Jordan Italiano comes up with a fumble recovery. That's Briante Dunn, pardon me, on the carry and the fumble. So the Golden Flashes get a takeaway, and their offense gets to head right back out on the field. Colin Reardon just threw the interception a moment ago. Nathan Strock has had some opportunities at quarterback today as well, and it looks like Nathan Strock will take over at quarterback on this possession. Well, there have been some massive crowds in this building. The record, because of that new section being opened last Saturday night, was set against Virginia Tech. Over 107,500 in here to watch Ohio State play Virginia Tech last Saturday night, and today well over 104,000 on hand. Strock pulls it down, gets out to the 20-yard line for a gain of a couple. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Strock throws one up for grabs down the sideline, out of bounds. Coming back inbounds to make a play on the ball was Charles Chandler, and the flag flies. Not sure if that is on the receiver for going out, or they're going to call pass interference because he was bumped out.
Pass interference, defense number 13. 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
That's Eli Apple, the redshirt freshman cornerback for the Buckeyes from Voorhees, New Jersey, called for the foul. When he was in high school, Eli Apple was rated as high as the 11th overall prospect, regardless of position, in our ESPN 150.
Well, Bob, there's been no question that Urban Meyer has been getting some great recruiting classes. He's got the skill people here.
Nothing there on first down up the middle. Well, you think about some of the numbers that come into focus when he loses a game, like they lost last Saturday. That was the first non-conference home loss for Urban Meyer ever. He'd never lost a non-conference home game at any of his previous stops as well. He was 3-0 at Bowling Green, 5-0 at Utah, 20-0 in Florida, and 7-0 at Ohio State before the win by Virginia Tech last Saturday night. Miles Hibbler on the carry again. Picked up 5. And Urban Meyer's way of penalizing his team, well, you got to change up the meal. They're used to having steak and lobster for Victory Sunday. They didn't get steak and lobster for the first time in a long time. It was spaghetti and meatballs. That was the penalty. Now, Matt Millen, oddly enough, didn't really look at that as being much of a penalty.
No, I didn't. I'm not much of a steak and lobster guy. I'd take that spaghetti any time of the week.
That's what we like about you. That throw incomplete. There's a flag down again, though, along the sideline. William Woods, the intended receiver. And it looks like he may have been bumped. That should give Kent State a first down. We've got an official over there without his hat, though, so that could signify that maybe Woods went out of bounds. And this, I would have to say, Matt Millen, is a longer conference than necessary in a 66-0 game.
Illegal touching of a pass on the offense.
There it is.
Lost it down at the previous spot. 4th down.
So it is 4th down as Woods went out and came back in. Melchiori with a line drive punt. Fair catch called for and made at the 10-yard line by Marshall. The 10th punt of the day for Anthony Melchiori. 9 minutes to go here in Columbus. Just about memorialized everywhere you look inside that Ohio State football complex, and rightly so. What a player. 1st and 10 Buckeyes back at the 10-yard line. Just about breaking free was Warren Ball. Well, it's 66-0. We mentioned that many of the fans have stayed. That doesn't mean they're all enthralled with every play.
He was
out for a while.
He was out for a while. Yeah, we were watching him in the commercial break.
He's going back out now.
He was testing that oath. On my honor, I will do my duty.
And always be prepared?
To be prepared. To obey the scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically fit, mentally awake, and morally straight. Thank you. 2.18, all present and accounted for, sir.
Very well done.
Thank you very much.
Ball up the middle for a first down. Ohio State for the first time today huddling up and taking maximum time off the play clock. And why not with a 66-0 lead. Ball again. Picks up a yard or two. And we go back to Chris Cotter in the studio. Boy, they can score in a hurry when they turn the Jets on offensively. That's my favorite player in all of college football. I've been watching him since he started a few years back, and he's as talented as there is, and he's as good a player, he's an even better person. Gain of a couple of yards on 2nd down and long. Jeffy Johnson getting an opportunity, junior from Hilliard, Ohio, as J.T. Barrett threw 6 touchdown passes. The last just a little flip shovel pass that counted as number 6. That ties a school record for most touchdown passes in a game. So J.T. Barrett and this Ohio State offense looked like a well-oiled machine in the first half against Kent State. Continued into the 3rd quarter, and now coming up on 6 minutes to go. And so the question is, did they get better this week? And the answer is yes, they did. Because
They recognized things. They didn't panic. I thought every opportunity he had to be able to make a play, he took advantage of. I thought the offensive line got better. Granted, it's lesser competition than what they've seen a week ago, but you still have to take another step forward. And sometimes you don't. I think today they did.
Cameron Johnston will punt. James Brooks is back deep to receive. And this is the first punt of the day for Ohio State. And it's off the side of Johnston's foot.
Shankadelic.
Shanked to midfield. Oh, he's rusty. He came in off the bench cold. He's not happy. Passes today, and they were all room service scores. He made some nice throws, though, and ran the offense well.
And the question is, where did they get better? And I think at that position and the offensive line, they did get better today. Watch the patience. He seized the field. He knew exactly where he wanted to go with the ball. I thought J.T. Barrett took a step and got better today. 6 touchdowns. Kenny Guyton did it just a year ago.
After the turnover, downtown, or after the punt rather, downtown goes Nathan Strock, but overshoots Eldon Anu. As we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And statistical domination across the board for Ohio State. 575 yards. And that's a lot of yards after the catch.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Paul Haynes thought. He knew he had to tackle and not give them extra yards. They didn't get that done.
Blitz coming. Strock pancaked. He had no chance. Tyquan Lewis got there first for the Buckeyes.
They brought a blitz and they forgot to block some people. Tyquan Lewis, he wasn't going to let him go. And that was those things don't present themselves very often. And when they do, Tyquan Lewis took advantage of it.
Fourth sack of the day for Ohio State. Third down at 16. Coming up on 5 minutes to go. That screen blown up. Ruled incomplete. Miles Hibbler had no chance. So now it'll be fourth down. Hit hard by Trey Johnson.
Trey Johnson's second straight play in a row. He came clean on that blitz the last time. And now this one, in man coverage, right on top of it, and forces us fourth.
Jalen Marshall again back to receive the punt for Melchiori. Wobbly kick, fair catch, and instead allowing it to bounce is Jalen Marshall, and it rolls all the way down to about the 2-yard line. 4:50 to go, and Ohio State will celebrate a win. It's not been since the start. It's Ohio State starting inside their own 5-yard line, but they've got a 66-0 lead over Kent State, and the backup quarterback Cardell Jones gets to the sideline. Bob Wischusen here with Matt Millen and Quint Kesnick, and college football primetime on ESPN. Presented by Hampton Hotels, kicks off at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Steve Adazio and Boston College will try and pull the upset against Cody Kessler and number 9 USC. USC, BC, who's in? College football primetime on ESPN tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Also live on Watch ESPN. Cardell Jones with a little speed handoff to Johnny Dixon. And the wide receiver turns the corner and gets run out after a gain of 8. And now the officials call time as there's a problem with the chain gang over on the sideline trying to get the first down markers set. And it looks like they have the marker respotted, 2nd down and 1. Another end around to the near side. Again, it's Johnny Dixon. Another gear down the sideline before he's cut down by Nate Holley. Got to midfield with a flag down.
Nate Holley had himself a pretty active game here today.
Offense number 85. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, 2nd down.
That's Marcus Baugh, the tight end. Nate Holley came into today 9th in the country in total tackles through the first couple of weeks. Had 27 tackles and cumulative in Kent State's first 2 games.
Now he's active, and you can see what his brother has offensively, he has defensively. And it's those things he can't teach. So he's got good instincts. He finds the ball pretty well. He deciphers things pretty well. Very good student as well. Yeah, he's a good player.
Trying to find a cutback lane and getting cut down is Warren Ball. That'll bring up 3rd down as we check the work done by the 2 quarterbacks today for Ohio State. And again, J.T. Barrett had a very efficient day with 6 touchdown passes.
Yeah, you couldn't really ask much more out of J.T. Barrett. Even that interception was tipped inside down there inside the 10. And I thought he just played as well as he could play.
Third down and a couple. Cut back and hurdling close to the first down again is Johnny Dixon. Depends on the spot. It looks like he's got the first down, and that all but means now that Ohio State can kneel on the football. But we also have Clay Miller, former walk-on, just put on scholarship this year by Kent State, down and injured. So while they look at Clay Miller, a chance to talk maybe a little bit more about J.T. Barrett and the strides that you feel you've seen him make, watching him on tape through the first couple of games and then watching him play today.
Yeah, and he's going to continue to improve. In the parts of the game that he has to improve, he is an accurate guy. He doesn't have a big arm. We talked about that. But it's decision-making then. And his decision-making, I thought, today was pretty good.
Well, while we have a chance, let's head back to Chris Cotter in the studio. All right, Chris, thanks very much. So Georgia Tech, it looks like, will survive a major scare against Georgia Southern, as there was a while there where Georgia Tech looked like they were firmly in control of that game and gave up the lead to Georgia Southern. Right up the middle goes Ball. That is a first down. And Ohio State moves the chains again.
Nate Holley again in on the tackle.
Oh, my fault.
Jet sweep again to Johnny Dixon. And he picks up a couple. And speaking of flying along, how about the all-new chase beginning in Chicago with the myafibstory.com 400 tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Jimmy Johnson is the defending champion, looking for his 7th title to tie him for most all-time with the King, Richard Petty, and Dale Earnhardt. The Challenger round, 16 nations battle, 12 advance in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Support your nation with hashtag MyChaseNation. Tomorrow's race also available live on Watch ESPN. Ball gets outside, uses the stiff arm, gets dragged down 3 yards shy of a first down, as this will take us ultimately under 1 minute to go here in Columbus. How do you mentally rehabilitate your team if you're Paul Haynes? You didn't expect to come in here and be competitive and win, but you probably weren't thinking it was going to be 66-0.
No, but you knew coming in here that it was a really steep hill to climb to get that win. And so what you do is you take what did you do positive, take the positives out of the game, and then the parts that you were beat physically, ouch, like that one you show on a highlight reel. That was like, look, this is what we, when there's the nexus of when we get a good play called and we execute.
LC Refuge at least makes a play on defense, and boy, that was face mask to face mask.
Yeah, that was a nice hit. So you take what you can positively out of it, you correct the mistakes, and you ask yourself, did we get better in certain areas? Did we take a step forward? And if the answer is yes, that's what you were looking for on the front end, you accomplish your goal.
Only about a 5-second differential between the play clock and the game clock. So on 4th down, not sure if they're going to take a delay of game penalty or they're just going to have Cardale Jones run around a little bit. Well, it looks like they'll take the penalty. It goes down to 6. And even if they punt it, the last play should probably take about 6 seconds. And that will end the game. So Ohio State will move on with a 66-0 win over Kent State off of the loss last week at home to Virginia Tech. And now you start to eye Big Ten play. You start to look at the conference schedule and getting your team, Matt, in position for Urban Meyer, where there's still a lot that can be accomplished. You don't know how the rest of the country is going to play out. It seems so premature for many to think that one bad weekend for the Big Ten ends Ohio State's hopes, Michigan State's hopes, any other team's hopes, Wisconsin as well, to maybe somehow find their way back into the top 4 by the time the season's over.
All they can do is their part, and their part is to win the rest of those games. And if they go do that and it's not good enough, well then so be it. But then they still had a highly successful season, and there's a lot of things that can happen between now and the end of the year.
Cardale Jones lets a few seconds tick off the clock, throws it the length of the field, and that will end the game. So well executed by Ohio State just to kill the last few seconds. And our final score, the Buckeyes win it going away, 66-0 over Kent State. Coming up next on ABC, college football continues as the Arkansas Razorbacks travel to Lubbock to take on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Happy I won't be seeing Matt Millen for the next 6 or 7 days. Quinn Kesnick with us here as well. I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Columbus.